I'm trying to make it in the world that isn't fair, and nothing's ever going my way under the curse of despair. I tried to reach it first, but I fail, and no one's ever there when the pain starts to hurt. So who to tell? Uncomfortable, can't seem to make it out of my position. I'm here all the time, can't seem to break repetition. You don't get recognition for the good, fuck up your reputation for the hood. When you're missing in the woods, wish I could get back right everything that went wrong. So when they get put on, I'ma sing it in the song. Give y'all something to relate to, have you thankful for the knowledge. Not saying I make it right, don't be praying for a promise. They say that life's a bitch, so I'm a couple. So greedy and stingy, like I'ma never get another one. She's starving, hungry with loads of money, I'ma suffer for the stress. We wrote the test and let it burn like Usher. Fathom this.
Fathom Manu chewing.
Welcome.
The countdown ends.
I thought we had more music than that.
there were these little numbers and they count down.
Hey everybody, welcome to Dangerous Thoughts. Dangerous Thoughts is a show that we do every Sunday night at 6 p.m. from the West Coast. And we dig into the fringe. We dig into the reality that 90%, I don't know, 80%, maybe 70%, 60%. I don't know, but people are getting hip to the idea that reality might be just not as normal as they've programmed us to believe it is. I don't know if you watch TV, but if you watch TV, they give you programming. And that programming is also funded by the CIA. And if you don't know this, the CIA is a huge organization. And you probably know somebody in your life that is at least working for the CIA or affiliated with the CIA in some way. So we like to go off the map, and we like to talk about things that are dangerous, some things people don't want to speak about, people don't want to even think about because they're too scared to question their reality, and they're pussy dicks, basically. This is Dangerous Thoughts. This is what we do. Please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Then we won't have to sell you t-shirts and hats and cups and stickers and beg you to send us money. Just hit that like button, smash it right down below. Like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe to this channel. Because
I feel like you need a tissue after that.
I didn't do it that long. I mean, maybe 7-8 seconds, but not that good.
Okay.
All right. So, but like and subscribe, please, because it helps us out, and YouTube starts sending checks once people start listening. If you're watching on other channels too, like my social media at Mono and Remy on Facebook or Twitter or TikTok or fucking Instagram or what's the company we use? StreamYards?
Yeah, that.
Yeah. Get off of that shit. Go to YouTube at Dangerous Thoughts. Like, subscribe, help us out, because then we don't have to beg. Okay, that's the opening pitch. On to the monologue.
The monologue.
Monologue.
Okay, so just in case you don't know it yet, your beautiful host, Manu Ente Reme, who you might know from some things like Star Trek or One Tree Hill. You might know me as like the ultimate good
Star
kid.
Twink.
The Star Twink. That's funny. But the truth is, I don't give a fuck. That's when it comes down to it. I don't give a fuck. And I want all you people to know that. I have a heart of gold. But for gold, you got to work hard. You got to move a lot of dirt. You got to dig deep. And you got to find it. And I have it. But I don't give a fuck. I just don't give a fuck anymore. And I want everyone to know that. Let's start off with DeSantis. Santa Claus? I don't remember, but he quit today from the Republican campaign. And he got really honest in his little blurb speech. You know, it was pretty cool. He got really honest, and he started saying things that actually made sense. And actually, I thought he said a few things that made sense during his campaign. Number one, he wanted to disband the IRS. He wanted to stop the whole idea of income tax, or at least give us all a flat tax to the billionaires, the multimillionaires, the people that don't make shit, like, 99% of us. And he wanted to just flat tax it all and kill the IRS. And he was talking about that. And it was like nobody was listening. I was like, I'm not a Republican. I posted about it. I got all this shit from my fan base. Are you a Republican? It seems like you're a Republican because you're happy for DeSantis. The truth is, I think our two-party system is broken. I think it's been broken for a very long time. I think they all work for the corporate elite. I had a friend say, just chew it properly. I finished the chips, Joseph. All right. But yeah, I think the whole system's broken. But so I'm an independent. I vote for who I want to. But this year, Trump scares me. Trump scares me, and it's not him. It's really not him. I think he's just kind of a doofus. Everything's going to be huge. It's going to be wonderful. Yeah, we're looking into it. It's wonderful.
Huge.
It's huge. It's great. It's powerful. We're going to build a wall. We're going to stop the Mexicans. And I'm a little worried about the cartel coming over too. I'm a little worried about border control, but I'm an independent, and mostly, I slide liberal, moderate, and whatever the hell the stuff is. Doesn't matter. But obviously, Santa Claus, he kissed the ring. He had to have kissed the ring because the evil, power ring that Trump wears. Because as soon as he quit, Trump had all this stuff written, and it was like the very next day, and it was ready to go, and all his comments, and it, I know he's got a whole crew around him writing responses, but it seemed like a little too quick. I think Trump made some kind of backdoor deal with Santa Claus. That's just my opinion. But I can't believe that people didn't back the guy more than they did with him wanting to crush the IRS. Because if you know anything about the IRS, they suck. Ukraine, Israel. Let's talk a little bit about world leaders getting away with genocide and murder. It's not okay. It's just not okay. Go on from there. Shit I'm going through. My wife, Valerie, is having seizures again, and she had been seizure free for a couple years. Now, every time she lays down, not every time, but a lot of times when she lays down, I'll see her start going into this like bug face. And the bug face means that she's staring as hard as she can, trying to not let the blurry vision that happens to her close into this little rabbit hole. And then her head kind of turns over and lays on me, and she starts going into a full-on seizure, and it sucks. And I go, baby, wake up, baby. Are you okay? Yeah. And she wakes up within like 3.5 to 5 seconds. And she doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know how long she's been out. So I'm taking her down to the hospital this morning. So anybody that's listening to Dangerous Thoughts, any of our Dangerous Thoughts family, the DT fam, hashtag DT fam, please pray for Valerie to whatever gods you pray to. I don't care. Because, Jesus was like, whatever you believe, I don't care.
And Manu, you and I both have suffered from anxiety and panic attack. And I just read an article earlier today. 1 in 5 people, 1 in 5 suffer from panic attack, anxiety disorder. It's huge. It is huge. I did not realize how many people, and I really thought I was alone when it came to all of a sudden, it's a cyclical thing, right? You start to, your vision kind of blurs, you start to get panicky, and your body goes into a fight or flight mode. It's horrible. And then it's a feedback system, right? Once you start feeling that way, you get scared. Once you get scared, it gets worse, and it just
all the way to the point where you think you're going to freaking die. And
exactly.
And you have some wonderful medicine that you're using from the Western medicine. I still take this freaking stupid Xanax stuff, but it does stop the panic. But I need to get off that stuff because I've been on it for a long time. Also, my wife, pray for her, but she spent $20,000 on my credit cards buying shit like incense, magic books, candle making materials, spices, healing herbs, soap to wash yourself that puts you in
I'm coming for you, Elizabeth.
With your guardian spirits, magic rings, necklaces, bracelets. I came home, I found the credit card bill, and I called her the fucking word, man. I said, "You fucking witch! How are we going to get out of this, you witch?" Anyway, also, if you believe, this is another thing bothering the hell out of me. Streaming apps. Remember when we were all cutting the cables like we were cutting fish or like cutting up human bodies? We were like, we're going to cut that cable. We're going to cut it. We're going to just put these streaming apps. It's going to save us hundreds of dollars. We're not going to have to pay for live TV. Now, every time I go to a streaming app, I want to watch something and I click on it and it says, well, what is your live TV provider? Why don't you buy a live TV provider so you can watch something off the streaming channel I already pay for? I hate bureaucracy. I don't know.
And I have cable, so I feel you, but I also have my Amazon Fire Stick. And here's the other thing I hate. It seems like every 3 days when I go to watch MSNBC or Prime or whatever, it says, oh, we need you to re-credential, put in your user ID and password, as if I haven't done that 300 times in the last week. And you still don't believe me? What, every time I turn down the TV, I've got to re-credential? I'm not signing into NASA or something, like why?
All of us, Siri knows who we are. She knows our password. She knows everything. She could just be like, yeah, it's Tyson watching TV. Yeah, it is Tyson watching TV.
I'm used to myself, and the bitch bought me tickets, but I have to sign in to watch MSNBC.
Yeah,
By
it's
the way,
off.
we have a message from Katie.
Katie says healing candles is lit for Lady Val. So Lady Val, the fucking witch, bought all that stuff. She made me bury a candle like a couple years ago and do all these rituals around the candle and the love and our connection to each other and our souls going to the ultimate multiverse and connecting again, and how that candle was going to bring us energy and light and love for my new TV show Star Crew. And it was all bullshit, and we buried that candle. And then 2 days later, one of my good friends gave me $250,000 to make the show. Star Crew update, by the way, we have finished VFX. We've finished the VFX cut, 380 different VFX shots in this pilot. It looks beautiful. We're moving on to sound design and score. So anybody out there that helped start, that helped us.
Cassie, where's my little picture at the top here? My little, right up there. There it is.
Or is it a
Star Crew?
All right. So my monologue is a lot longer than
makeup.
it was. But finally, watch Dumb Money on Netflix because it's freaking hilarious. Dumb Money is all about Wall Street bets. If you don't know about it, Reddit was blowing up all these things, blowing up all these companies that had short interest. And if you don't know what short interest is, basically all these big billionaires buy these businesses, or they put short interest. They try to destroy these lovely businesses like GameStop, where we all used to buy our video games. And it's about this kid and about all these other people that held the line to the point where they blew up GameStop and they started destroying these multi-billion-dollar firms. And anytime billionaires lose billions, it makes me so happy. So you should watch that film. It's pretty fun. It's also like, in the end, they lie. The billionaires won. Basically, Robinhood, if you ever have that Robinhood app, what Robinhood did as the stock was going up like crazy, to the point where people were making millions of dollars from their $1,000 investment, and these billionaires were losing billions. This company called Citadel called called Robinhood and said, hey, you got to shut down the buy button. And Robinhood did that for them. And they basically cheated, because Wall Street, it's presented to us, it's basically a casino at the center of our culture and our society. But it's supposed to be a place that if you're smart, and you actually study, and that you can make a little money, and it's presented as somewhere that the little man can make his own opportunity. But they rigged the game. It's already rigged, but then they double rigged it by stopping people from going to Reddit at the same time as stopping people from going to Robinhood. And if you believe in that Robinhood app, those guys are just as much a douchebag fucking suits a-holes as anybody else,
if I'm
because
not mistaken, they're owned by JP Morgan, or JP Morgan handles all of their accounts or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Or Citadel. No, Citadel I think went down, but they did get a few billionaires in the process, so it did make me happy. But they didn't win in the end. Just a few people did. A lot of people lost money. Still a great movie. Dumb Money, Netflix. Did I mention like, subscribe, push the button? This is Dangerous Thoughts. It's a great show, and blah, blah, blah. Hey, Tyson, you got anything you want to get off your chest before we bring on our awesome guest, Karin Wilkinson?
Well, beyond a couple of pounds that, was added through the holiday season, really quick, I totally agree with you. I actually invested in Dogecoin back when it was 0.02 cents,
Oh, you
and
looked it up?
I put several $100s in it. It ended up making a couple thousand, and I pulled it out because Mike got a flat tire and his car had some issues, so I pulled it out. And it wasn't a month later that it went from 2 cents to 5 cents. So I made a little bit of money, but it was like a month later it went up to 87 cents. And I could have had I pulled out the money because of fucking flat tire. If I'd have just left it in one more month, I would have had over $100,000. I want to kill my husband. I've said this now. It's recorded, which means I probably have to go patch his brake line.
No, you want to. You want your husband to die of natural causes very peacefully soon.
And I've looked for poisons that would present exactly that.
Stop it.
Okay. All right.
So we're gonna bring on our special guest. Her name is Karin Wilkinson. I swore I had her bio up here for a second. So she wrote a book that is called oh, come on, Manu, are you kidding me? You don't have her bio up here where you were supposed to? Oh man, that's so stupid.
She is presenting us with a copy of her book behind the scenes.
She's presenting us with a copy of her book. I know. I thought I had her bio. Just give me a second. Everybody hang in there, stay on. Okay, her book is called Stolen Seed, Evil Harvest. And Karin Wilkinson is the author of that book. She's a regular writer and contributor to L.A. Marzulli's monthly newsletter, Politics, Prophecy, and the Supernatural. Karin is a wife, mother, and grandmother. She worked in the software industry for many years before leaving to raise her family. For as early as she can remember, she's been abducted by non-human alien entities, possibly hundreds of times. If you've seen this show, we don't... what's the word where we believe in everything and we endorse it? We don't endorse any of these beliefs, but we also don't not do that. This show is all about exploring the ideas that these people have and checking out the fringes of reality that could possibly exist. Just think if 100% of the reality that you've been programmed to believe in, just think if like 2% of that programming that we've been taught in schools and colleges and etc. was wrong. Yeah. Think if 5% was wrong. Think if 10% was wrong. We could have a completely different reality. And actually, I read an article recently that they just proved at CERN. I think it was actually a couple of years ago. It was an old article. But they proved that we live in an 11-dimensional universe at CERN. So there could definitely be a lot of different things visiting us from those other dimensions. So I'm gonna bring her on. She's gonna talk to us about all sorts of what the CIA would want you to think of as crazy shit, but I think is pretty damn interesting. So let's bring on Karin Wilkinson, author of Stolen Seed, Evil Harvest. How are you, Karin? Thanks.
Hi. Thank you, Manu Tyson. You guys are cracking me up. I'm like, can I stop laughing while I'm about to talk?
Well, thank you. I'm glad because I felt like I was just rambling, but that's good. I'm glad you got a laugh out of me.
Yeah, no, you had a hysterical audience here. And I will keep your wife Valerie in my prayers. So
please do. She's having such a tough time. It's a bummer.
Yeah.
So she wrote this book. Is it Evil Seed? No, what is it?
Stolen Seed, Evil Harvest.
Evil Harvest. Okay, right. And she has been abducted and messed with by these aliens for a long time. I'll get to this question with her in a minute, but I think that this whole idea of Eisenhower meeting the aliens back in whenever he was president and making a deal with them to start abducting us and possibly, I don't know, letting them do experiments on us or hybrid us. I even think that aliens, it's possible, might even be living with us and like running the economy and running shit right now. I don't know. I just know I've met some people that are pretty freaking weird, and I'm like, are you human? Could you possibly be human? Like Trump? Could you? Really?
Yeah.
I was literally going to say that. Have you ever seen Trump?
Yeah. So she'll share some of her experiences with her. We'll hit her with the first question. So tell me a little bit, just a wrap up a quick wrap up of Stolen Seed, Evil Harvest, and what it's about.
Sure. So the book is about basically my lifelong experiences of being taken by non-human entities. I chronicle what happened to me throughout my life from as early as I can remember. I don't have memories of them not taking me. In fact, my earliest memories are of being afraid of certain family members on my father's side because they looked so similar to the Nordic entities I was already seeing. And that was like 2 or 3 years old. And no, they were not aliens. My father's family were very human, but they had
Looking.
similar, yeah, but
They had,
right.
the Nordics, by the way, if you guys don't know, are one of the alien species that are thought of to be visiting this planet. They look
Right.
very much like blonde-haired, blue-eyed Germans, a little taller. But
Right.
they look very human. If you ever read Fire in the Sky, which is one of my favorite books on alien abduction, Travis Walton sees these things after he sees some grays. But go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, his book is on my list to read. I've never been able to read the books or watch the movies because it was so triggering. My whole life, I couldn't watch the show, read the books, watch the movies. I wouldn't be able to sleep for days because I was, even as an adult, I couldn't look out the windows at night. I mean, it was
And
terrible.
you talk about these, but it's not just the past, right? I mean, these have happened all the way up through maturity, like
up until a
recently.
few years ago. Up until a few years ago when I figured out how to stop it. But that's, that's another part of the.
Yeah, I want to ask that question about 10 more questions in.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to write the book, and what do you hope to accomplish by sharing your life experiences for other people? And what do these aliens want? What's their game? What do you think?
That's a lot of questions, and I'll try to give you very short answers because I could spend 3 hours just answering the first one. The inspiration really came from having, after I had a near-death experience, which in the book I call a near-life experience because it was an incredible experience, but it was also very traumatic the way it happened, and I went through PTSD therapy, and that therapy gave me the tools to be able to finally be able to manage these lifetime of memories that were just haunting and difficult and compartmentalized in my life very much. And once I did that, I went and met up with L.A. Marzulli, and it was really strange how it all happened. It was all a lot of coincidence, and a lot of things just fell into place. And I didn't expect to share this whole story with him, but I did, which became the center point for his fourth movie in the UFO. He has a series of about 7 or 8 movies in that series now, but it was the fourth one in the UFO series. And after that, people started talking to me and wanted to talk to me about it. And I realized I wasn't alone, and B, that there was something useful that was coming from this, that I was able to help people, to talk to people, just to share, not like a therapy or anything like that, but make it okay to talk about, that we could share, that we could help each other through it, share what had happened to us, and we weren't crazy. And there are hundreds and hundreds of people, Manu, I tell you,
there's hundreds there's hundreds, there's millions.
But just every day just the number of people every day that I talk to that are new, that I've never met before, that just coming out of the woodwork. It's crazy. I mean, the number of people have had experiences and remember them, but refuse to speak about it because A, they've been told not to, or B, society has pushed it to the point that if we talk about it, we're considered crazy or
that was a whole CIA. They spent millions and millions of dollars to try to have abduction people. When they talk about aliens, they spent millions of dollars to have the public that hadn't had these experiences think that you're absolutely insane, and they shut their minds off right away.
And there's nothing more powerful than connection, right? When you connect with others that have had the same experience.
Exactly. The first time when I sat down with the 4 people who were in LA's movie, I felt like a kid at Disneyland. Well, not crazy, but I just like the happiest person in the world because I had 3 other people, and we kept going, yes, me too. Oh my gosh, yes, me too. I had that experience too. And there was just this joy in being able to share with someone, and they understood exactly what I was talking about. I understood what they were talking about, and nobody was calling anyone crazy. It was full.
So give us the creepy shit. Tell us Well, what was your first experience, or what was your scariest experience?
Yeah.
Give us a couple
I
of experiences that you've had.
I don't remember the first one, honestly, guys, but I remember as early as I can remember they would be there. And typically, when I was really little, I was terrified at night because I knew they were going to come and take me. And I would try to find places to hide. I thought maybe I could get in a suitcase under the bed and zip it up and they wouldn't be able to find me in there. I was always trying to come up with new ways, but it would be the middle of the night and I would feel it in the room. Before I'd even see them, I could feel it. There would
Now,
just be a hand.
benevolent or malevolent? Was
Evil.
it bad or
Bad.
evil?
Bad, scary, bad. And you remember, I'm a little kid. I don't have words to tell someone what's happening, let alone who these things are. But a part of it would be sometimes a light coming in the window. When we were in the country, when we would be at my grandparents' farm, and all the crickets and cicadas would stop. Sometimes the cows in the barn would start going crazy, and then they would stop. And there would be 2 or more, never less than 2, at least 2, of what people call a typical gray alien being in my room. Sometimes over in a corner, sometimes at the foot of the bed, sometimes right beside the bed. Sometimes I don't know where they were because I covered my head and closed my eyes as tight as I could. I didn't want to look at them. They were terrifying. They had the big bulbous heads, the eyes that were black like screens. And I would feel like I was in a state of paralysis where I could move my eyes, I could see and everything, but I couldn't move my body at my own will. And they would levitate me off of the bed. And sometimes I would wet the bed. I was so scared. And then they would levitate me up towards the ceiling or towards the window or down the hall towards another window. And I would go up through a ceiling or out through a closed window. And as I got close to it, I could see every little detail, like all the little curls, the wallpaper. There was wallpaper on the ceiling, and I could see all these little curls on the edges or the dead bugs in the lamp. Or I'd get really close to the screen and see all the little squares, and none of them were even. And it would feel like this vibration taking over my body, and like I was in a million bazillion little pieces. It didn't make sense, but it was happening.
Tesla understood that we're all vibrations. That's a fact. Everything we are is vibrational. So they somehow undo your vibrations so they can take you where they need to take you. That makes sense.
Exactly.
Now, why do you think they were taking? Do you feel like you were a lab rat, like something to be examined, or what do you think their motives were?
Yeah, definitely. From the time they started taking me, it was all about doing different tests. And I don't know what the tests were. It wasn't like they nicely sat down and said, now we're going to take your blood. Now we're going to look at, this. Right. There were machines I didn't understand, things that looked like giant x-ray machines, things they would pull down over top of me. There were lights like you'd see at the dentist or the doctors. There were needles in my neck, needles in my chest, needles in my ear. Yeah, I have burns on the backs. When you go to the eye doctor and they take the picture for behind your eyes, there are burns back there. And they're like, how do you have burns on the back? They can't even describe or explain how these things happen. I have burn marks on my body that have never gone away. I have had missing pregnancies. I've experienced and seen the offspring that were part of me. Just to give you the real short recap. It was terrifying. I mean, I spent my whole life being terrified. When I was about 6 years old, I had my first nervous breakdown where, and you guys were talking about anxiety and panic attacks. I think I had my first one when I was 6. I didn't know what it was. And I was in the school and they had to call my mom to get me because I'm huddled in the corner of a bathroom stall, holding my knees, just rocking. I wouldn't speak. I wouldn't get up. I wouldn't move. And she took me to the doctor, and I tried to tell the doctor, I said, they keep taking me. They keep touching me. They keep, coming. And he thought maybe I was talking about kids at school. I didn't know what they were.
Your dirty uncle in a mask, or
it could be anything, right? There weren't UFO movies.
Yeah.
Right. There was no way to explain it. And who's going to believe me? I'm above the bed or I'm outside, and they're like, she's having nightmares. She's dreaming. She'll be fine. She'll forget. She'll grow up. It's just nightmares, whatever. And that's the point where I really gave in. And I just said, in my little tiny kid head, I'm going to put that here in my life, in this here, and just compartmentalize things, because I think that's the time where I probably either would have ended up institutionalized or just continued and found a way to manage it.
And they would have found you in those crazy houses. They would have found you there too.
Yeah,
At least
yeah, they would have. And I was wide awake when these things happened. I wasn't dreaming. And I have had experiences of sleep paralysis. Yes, I absolutely had those over my lifetime. And my good friend Vicki Joy Anderson wrote a book about that, called They Only Come Out at Night. And she's been a great help to me.
They only come out at night?
They only come out at night. Yeah,
Vicki
her
Joy
book, you can find
Anderson?
where you find mine. Vicki Joy Anderson. She's amazing.
Okay.
She's been so helpful to me through this. She's like a sister to me. But
and this followed you into adulthood. This wasn't just a good experience. So you state in your book that non-human alien entities are interviewing with humans in an attempt to corrupt the human bloodline, and that this dark agenda of Satan and his cohorts. What do you mean by that? Do you think these are actually? Yeah.
I think that we are. You can call these things whatever you want. You can call them aliens. You can call them entities. They're not human. They're stronger than we are. They're smarter than we are. They've been around a lot longer than we are. And obviously they can control time, space, energy, and matter in ways that we can't even conceive of. And from my perspective, I believe that these are the fallen entities that are in our Bibles and other ancient texts throughout every religious belief, throughout every thing. I am personally, my belief system is as a Christian. So that's where it fits into my paradigm. But whatever belief system you have or don't have, there are these things all throughout history, throughout every society, every.
I was raised I was raised the same way, but for our listeners, how would an individual determine the difference between, say, a deitaic or deity, like an angel, a demon, versus an extraterrestrial with advanced technology, versus, how do you know if this is angelic or alien, or is there a difference?
Well, I think what we're talking about is it benevolent or malevolent? Because I think when you're talking about those things and we have all these different names for them, we're all talking about the same thing. These are non-human entities. Where did they come from? They have a creator just like we do. And I think we're all created by the same creator, higher power, whatever you want to call it. And they have to answer that same creator, higher power that we do. But, and so some of them are good and some of them are not. And I don't think kidnapping little children, raping women, stealing babies from someone's womb, scaring people, doing these things, implanting little kids and adults with these, whatever they are, things that they are implanting us with. I don't think that's benevolent behavior.
Do you believe they're here on Earth? Do you think they're here on Earth with like human suits already? And
I think they're under our feet. I think I was taken underground to these.
Oh, you think they're in like an inner Earth kind of cavern place? Because that's a lot of abduction and alien books have been written about. That's where they.
I was taken to underground facilities, and they are huge. They are bigger than a giant football stadium and an airport and everything else all put together. Just more and more and more of them, and it's huge. The network of things under our feet, I think, is more than we could even imagine. And what I've experienced was massive. And I am sure that was just a small part of it, just where I was taken. So, but, and I've had, experiences with what seem like benevolent beings and malevolent beings, but these entities that people are calling aliens from UFOs or what have you, those are what I feel are not good kind entities.
So, and you think these are fallen angels, demons, whatever word you want to call them?
There's a difference, I think, between demon and demonic too. When you get into what are demons and Nephilim, which is starting to become more a mainstream topic, and so it's easier for me to talk about that more and more. But a Nephilim is basically the progeny of a fallen angelic
angel and a human.
Right.
Well, here's the question. I don't think that God, angels, or demons need to do experiments on humans. They created humans, so no experimentation is necessary. They already know what we're made of.
Right.
That's more of an ET, more of an extraterrestrial type of thing. And so talk about that. Like a Nephilim or a demon or an angel wouldn't need to conduct, DNA type experiments. I would think God already knows what we're made of.
Yeah, but
But
God
love's
ETs
not
may not.
loves out of humans.
Yeah, the
And so they're
experiments
down
aren't
there fucking with us.
right. It's the fallen. And the reason the fallen are doing this is,
Right.
one of the things, if you corrupt the bloodline, we're no longer human. And as humans, we
Yes.
basically have the
Yes.
deed to this earth. So that kind of puts a monkey wrench in that. This is, when this happened, and not to get biblical or churchy on you, but in Genesis 6, it talks about when the sons of God, this is talking about these B'nai Ha-Elohim, they are what people refer to as angels, which is kind of a misnomer, but these are these superior to us beings that existed before us. They are all throughout our Christian Bible and other religious texts, and other religions have similar entities.
Yeah,
And
it's
they're
not just the
fallen
Bible.
ones.
It's
Right,
you go
right.
to the Bhagavad Gita, you go to any basic religious text, even the Quran. All of them,
Exactly.
they talk about these ancient beings that have visited Earth.
Exactly.
Okay, so your book includes some definitions, and you've talked about the idea that these entities are interviewing and trying to corrupt our bloodline. Your book includes some definitions, two terms that stood out: ectogenesis and panspermia. Could you talk a little bit about what they mean and how
Sure.
they be tied to the phenomenon?
Ectogenesis is the ability to bring a fetus to maturity outside of a human womb. And that's something we've had a lot of lately in the news. And if you
That's
go
why
online
they're
and look
stealing
up,
the cow uteruses.
yeah, exactly. I mean, they've had the ability to do that for a long time. We're catching up. And how much of that did they get from these crash craft and non-human biologics and everything? Who knows? But it's something that until recently, if I had talked about what happened to me, people would be like, well, that's impossible. But it's not, because it's possible now. We can do it. And it's something they've been doing for a long time. Panspermia is the idea that we were seeded here by some other race or some other entities. And that is a potentially really deceptive train of thought to go down. You have to be very careful, because whoever seeded us, who seeded them? Who created them?
The universe is
keep
quite
going
large.
up.
And the
Right.
multiverse has just been proven. I mean, I talked about it earlier in the monologue that the CERN has
Right.
proved 11 dimensions at least.
And these entities can travel within dimensions. They're not just, they don't fit into our little box. Everybody thinks we try to put everything into where we live, how we live, our sense of what time is and space and everything else.
And
That only
we
works for us.
yeah, we got to talk backstage about that a little bit, about how these dimensions work. Imagine for a second if you were a two-dimensional being living on a two-dimensional plane, and imagine there was a hole in the center of that plane, and imagine a sphere. Fuck you, Manu. Imagine a sphere dropping through that. What you would see is a circle pop out of nowhere, expand, grow, and then contract, and then disappear, right?
Exactly.
Two-dimensional. You don't see three dimensions. So if there are 4, 5, 6, 7 dimensions, what are we missing?
CERN
What are
says
we
there's
missing?
11. We're missing a lot.
Can you imagine?
Right.
Yeah. Look
Right.
at the
There-
4-dimensional box. I mean, you can go online and look that up and see how that looks when it's laid out. So
Mhm.
it kind of gives you, and that's so complicated. Imagine going to 11 dimensions. We can't even
Exactly.
conceive of all of this.
Right.
So it's so far outside, but everyone still wants to put everything into this little box where we are. And it doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. You can't do that.
So
You
I'll
have to
we're
tell you
the supreme beings, of course.
Oh, yeah,
Nobody
we're
knows
the
more than we are.
Oh yeah, the
Exactly.
apes that they genetically kicked in the butt. Yeah, we're the top of the food chain. Yeah,
and that's where we get in trouble. Yeah.
yeah, it sure is. Ego kicks your butt.
Mhm.
Oh man, I had something to talk about and I lost it. So I'll just ask you another question.
Okay.
You mentioned two dates: Roswell, 1947, and the Grenada Treaty of 1954. What are those events, and how do you believe that
yeah.
they tie into this abduction agenda?
Well, you mentioned Eisenhower earlier too,
Mhm.
which is spot on. I do think that that's really when a lot of the deception started to take hold. I mean,
Sorry to cut you off, but imagine you're an American president. These completely all-powerful, at least compared to what we had, visit you and they want to make a deal. You don't have any option but to say yes. I mean, if Eisenhower said
right,
no, come on. All right, go
right.
ahead. Sorry.
No, and I don't think he was actually able to get any traction with them. I think it came back to groups like the Majestic 12 and groups like that who actually
Yeah.
made those agreements. But everything in these in God's for me believing God's created universe is very transactional. There are agreements and things and rules, very rules based. And so in order for us to be taken, someone has to give that permission, which is why they sought it. So, and not just in a Christian Bible, but again, this spans many, many belief systems. So in order for them to be able to take humans and animals and do experiments on them, um, they have to have that permission. And I believe that that's where one of those initial permissions was given, because we
From our
have
leader. They went, hey,
from
the
our,
leader
yeah,
says okay,
mhm,
and we're just gonna, since he's the most powerful
exactly.
leader in the
It had to be someone in
earth,
a position of power and authority who could say, I
sign the
have
deal.
authority over this particular group of people. And
Show me a religion without rules.
Yeah, and you,
exactly,
yeah.
exactly.
So Eisenhower signed in blood to let these things do what they do.
And I really think it was probably where the kind of shadowy offset groups came into play and started making decisions. And that's why he was warning all the warnings about the military industrial complex and everything started to come up then.
And then
But
the next president that warned about the military industrial complex.
yeah, everything just became,
JFK. Yeah.
Yeah. So share what you call a midlife a near experience and what happened and how does that tie into your book?
my near life experience, which is
Oh,
what
Treaty
most
of
people.
Grenada, is that
Oh,
the Eisenhower Treaty?
yes, the Granada
Okay.
Treaty is the Eisenhower.
And Roswell, what do you think about Roswell?
Oh yeah. The reason I brought up Roswell because it just shows how flaky the government is. One minute they're saying this
Yeah, they
never
changed
happened.
it
First
every
the newspaper
10.
headline said it did, then it said it didn't, then they say we're not studying UFOs, then we say we are, and so many different their stories never consistent. It's whatever works at the time. So we can't trust anything, that they're saying, and they've been lying to us for so long. And I know things are starting to come out now. There are some confirmations coming out, not a lot of disclosure, but some confirmation, which is interesting. But you asked me about the near death experience / near life experience. Yeah, that really is what kind of spurred all of this on. I was going in for a surgery and was not hooked up to anything, just had 2 IV ports in, went into the operating room, hadn't even had my sedative yet. My doctor wasn't quite ready. So I'm in there just on the operating table waiting for things to start. Normally, they wouldn't have you come in and not start right away, but wasn't my first surgery with this doctor, so he was okay with that, and I was fine with it. Then the
Not quite out yet, but cut on in.
yeah, whatever.
You've
Yeah,
been
not
through
quite
this.
ready.
You've been through
It
worse.
was a big one, so he had to go get something else ready, and so they were putting more rods and screws and wires in my back because I've had all kinds of strange, anomalous issues that nobody can quite explain. Anyway, the anesthesiologist came in and she leaned over me and her white lab coat, she had a pocket full of syringes. She pulls one out, pops it into my IV port, and just turns around and walks away. Doesn't say, how's that feel? How are you doing? Instead of a sedative, she gave me a paralytic and walked away. And I know they give you a paralytic during a surgery, but that's when the machine is breathing for you. Because I've had a lot of people come up to me and say,
When
well,
you're
that's
out.
not
Yeah.
unusual. Yeah, it's unusual when you're wide awake and no one's watching you and you're not hooked up to anything,
Oh,
So I just
sorry.
lay there and
Ooh.
died. I mean, it's like drowning. I couldn't call for help. I couldn't do anything. And I heard an audible voice in my head say, it's okay. You can let go now. And just like that, I was out of my body. And I knew I had to stay close. I just knew that. I was out of my body. I could see what was happening in the other rooms. I could see the doctor getting the stuff ready. I could see the nurses putzing around in the operating room. They hadn't noticed me yet. I was still me. I still had my personality. It was the weirdest thing. I mean, That's what I
Do,
found most
do
interesting.
walls and the ceiling and everything become translucent so that you're still kind of in the room, but you can see through everything?
You know what? They're not translucent, but you can see through
You can
them. It
float
doesn't
through
make
them,
any
yeah.
sense, but time didn't exist the way it
Wow.
does for us. I could see what's happening in all the other rooms.
Once you leave your body, Tyson, what are you, dumb? You're outside of
No,
time. You're
it
a
didn't
soul
make
at that
sense.
point. You're in your
It's
soul
weird.
body. You're not a human anymore. You can
No,
walk through
it's like
walls. You can go through walls. You're a soul. You're outside of the
it was
time-space continuum,
Look,
you
look.
moron.
it
What are
Does
makes
you
my
even asking
penis
for these questions
does
for?
my
Just-
penis
just-
become bigger in this universe?
you don't
Because
have a penis when you're
this-
outside this body, Tyson. Stop it. Stop going
I
to the
don't have
gutter.
one now. I want a bigger one now. Anyway, okay, moving on. Sorry.
I cannot answer that question, Tyson. I'm sorry, I don't know.
I plead
That's
the
not in the
fifth.
book.
When I was flying around, I did not even
Yeah.
check.
No.
Why do you suppose? Okay, no.
But anyway, that was a crazy experience. I have to say, it was. I saw everything that happened. When I came out of it, I told them what happened, and I saw and heard and recounted things that I couldn't have seen from, say, being on the operating table. So it was a really incredible experience. I just felt love and warmth and peace like nothing we have words for. It was the most amazing experience. It was just beautiful. It was
But
amazing.
this creepy nurse that hit you with the paralytic, then you came back to your body. There was no funky stuff during this.
I never
experience?
saw her again. She didn't
Never
come
saw
back into the operating room. The anesthesiologist that came in after her, there was a different one that came in after she left. So I don't
Wow.
know if someone put out a hit on me because I'm trying to do stuff like this. I don't know.
Yeah, a lot
It
of people like you end up getting
was-
killed. I mean,
Mhm.
I just tell you, it. You
Oh,
know
yeah.
that.
I had a
Anybody
brain
that speaks
tumor
out on these
thing.
things and get too many followers and too many people believing. There's been so many hits on people speaking out that have been
Yes.
abducted or that have seen aliens underground. I forget that guy's name recently with the blonde hair. That he was just like a construction worker working on these deep underground bases, and he went down and saw some stuff, and then some, Black Ops mercs murdered a few of these underground grays, and then they killed him like a year and a half later. They strangled him with his own cord, that tube that you use for one of those medical tubes. I forget his
wow.
name. You know his
Ugh.
name. I don't know. But
Sounds awful,
I
but
have
yeah,
one
a
more
lot of
question
people.
for you because we're running out of time. We're only an hour show. We're going to
Oh.
bring you back. I'm going to read your book.
Okay.
This is fascinating stuff to me. I'm
I'll get
super
it.
interested in it. If everybody knows that watches this show that I had some alien experiences throughout my life too. I wasn't sure I was abducted, but I'm pretty sure. But it stopped when I was a kid. Hey, the royal we, right?
Right.
You write this. This is a pretty hardcore one. You write that you were raped by these beings, and we know rape among humans is an act of violence with no real intent to produce offspring. Are these beings malevolent in the same way? Are they not only interested in producing hybrids, and by hybrids do you mean beings that exist up there? Are they dying out, or are they putting hybrids down here? And do they also seek to inflict violence and pain in this process? That's a long question.
I don't know if I have time to answer all of that, but
Yes, you
what I
do.
will
Go
tell you is as much time as you give me. What they did to me was not necessary. That did happen to me. I was raped against my will, and they did.
Were these
this.
grays?
No.
No.
There was a being, I write a lot about him, who was with me throughout my whole life of being taken. And he is, I call him my handler, and I describe him in a lot of detail in the book, but he was a party to that. And it was done in a setting that was, it's really hard to talk about. I'm sorry. That was to warn the people. When I was taken underground to these facilities by these entities, there were humans working alongside these entities, and I saw different types of entities: reptilians, greys, insect types, mantids, I think they're called, the Nordic type, which I talked about. These there were also humans working alongside them. I don't think these humans who were working there knew what they were getting into. I mean, imagine you've got this great job at an aerospace company or for the government, and they're like, you're getting a new top security clearance, and we're going to give you this special job. Now sign these NDEs. Here's your next, station. And, there was nothing you can do about it at that point. I was used the way others besides me I watched this happen to were used. To warn people what would happen to their wives, their daughters, their friends, their loved ones if they spoke about what was happening. If anything happened, that's what would happen to their loved ones and their family. And so they utilized me in a way to warn people. And the rape was not necessary. It was something that I could tell they enjoyed doing, and it was ritualistic in mannerism and just ugly.
So with
So
that,
wait
you
a second.
feel it was.
Wait a second. I'm sorry, Tyson. You
Go
can
ahead,
get yours
go
eaten.
ahead. Oh,
But
go
you
ahead.
said ritualistic. Was it
Yeah.
anything like human rape? Do these things have our genitalia? Are they different? And what was this an insect? This was a guy
Yeah.
that you called what again?
This was a guy I refer to as my handler, only because he
handler.
took me from
And
the
what did
time
he
I
look
was
like?
little.
And what was it?
He appeared as a human initially to me, and I became very attached to him. Eventually, very close to him. He was what he would call once we got closer, I would see his he would kind of fuzz in and out sometimes during certain times, and I'm like, what do you really look like? I want to see. I'm okay with that. I won't be scared. I just wanted to see what he looked like, because I had this total Stockholm syndrome thing going on. I justified
already fucked me
everything that
up.
happened. Yeah.
I
It was
love
crazy.
it. Stockholm syndrome when you fall in love with your captor.
Basically. Yeah. I wouldn't say I fell in love with him, but
Not
I
in
was
love, but you get
close
used
enough.
to it.
Yeah. And he was what you would call a reptilian type being. He was beautiful. He wasn't gross. He wasn't scaly or slimy or ugly. He didn't look like like some of the pictures of things you see. He was beautiful. He was like opalescent. His skin looked like it had different colors and it practically glowed. It was so beautiful. I'm sorry.
I'm just answering a question.
Okay. Yes. And so he was beautiful. He was incredible.
Were the scales green or white?
No.
Or remember?
No, they were more of a, like, how an opal has just all these colors, kind of red and blue and maybe a little tinge of green in there too, sure. But he wasn't like, his face was more of it had a green tinge, but it was just not green like you think of as a green reptilian lizard.
Hair?
It was too pretty. No.
But gorgeous, and at the same time, this wasn't a nice experience for you.
No, it wasn't. And they have this ability where, like, when I would be taken from as little as I can remember too, they could do this. They could put their hand over like my forehead or my eyes or on my forehead, and pain would stop, or I would fall asleep, or I would feel happy or sad. You know what I mean? They can affect your emotions. So they were able to affect how I felt during those things as well. So
now, when humans rape other humans, there's a couple of factors: domination, self gratification, etc. Do you feel like that's what these aliens were doing, or do you feel like there was something more to it?
For her talking, but sorry.
Well, it was to let other people know. It was to use me as an example of. It's not that I was talking. Trust me, I wasn't talking to anyone. When I was really little, they showed me what you might call a screen memory, where it looks like you're seeing. It's like virtual reality is for us today. It used to be really hard to describe because there's no way to, it's like you feel like you're in it. It's real, but it's not. Of my family being, they took me out in the backyard. I was standing out in the backyard at my grandparents' farm, and I was physically out there. I remember the grass was wet under my feet and cold, and they showed my family walking out, all of them, even the ones who weren't there at the time. So, I know it had to be a screen memory. And I was on one side of like this big long clothesline, and they were on the other. and they sprayed something on the backs of their necks, and then they beheaded them in front of me and said, if you talk, this is what's going to happen to your family.
Oh, there was
God.
definitely a level of control then.
Oh,
Definitely
God.
a level of
Saudi
control.
Arabian lizard beasts.
That's why I had the breakdown when I was 6.
just
I mean, that
kidding.
happened
That's
before that
correct.
breakdown.
Yeah.
But no, it's okay. You have to make light of it sometimes because it's so awful that if you don't find a way to sometimes
have
laugh
to joke
about it or
sometimes on the show,
compartmentalize it, it's
dangerous
ugly.
thoughts.
But I didn't write the book to be scary or ugly, and it's not scary. Honestly, it's meant to be helpful, to kind of connect some dots, help people figure out what.
And you have to tell your truth. That's the thing. You've experienced things, and you have to tell your truth. And
Right.
it will resonate with other people who have had similar experiences. And that's the biggest thing, is connection. And we talked about this backstage. So many people have had similar experiences and they feel disconnected. I grew up as a gay person in a very conservative area. And I felt very much alone until I met other gay people. I'm sure there are, Black people who grew up in white communities and felt very much disconnected. This is another area in which people feel very disconnected, very alone. And by meeting other people who've had similar experiences, we're bringing that connection to them. And I love that.
You're lucky,
I love that.
Because if you were an abductee that remembered your shit, there might be like lizard people that, what was yours called?
He was my handler, is what I call him.
You might have had a handler that was a woman that raped you. Think about that, Tyson.
Oh my God, I need a Vicodin.
That would be horrible for you, right?
Yeah, it would be horrible.
Oh my God!
To be
look, and all of a sudden I have pussy. What is this?
But
I'm kidding.
The pussy. I love
I thought I saw something moving around behind you. I wondered if that was your cat.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about LA Marzulli before we bring in the fans and let them ask you a couple questions. I've got a ton more questions for you, but I'd love to read your book first and bring you back in a couple months if you're willing. Because like we say on Dangerous Thoughts, we don't endorse any of our guests and their ideas, but we are also, me and Tyson are both very open to the idea that reality is much more complex than most people think. So I do believe you only because I've had some weird experiences with my life. I've shared them on many shows. And so if people want to catch up, go back and watch our old show and give us the YouTube minutes. Like, subscribe, hit the button. God damn it.
First time I heard that.
Said that in front of 2 Christians. All right, my bad. Where are we? Oh yeah. Let's let the fans in. Do we have a couple fans that want to ask our guest Karin Wilkinson a couple questions?
We do have 2 guests, and before I bring them on, I want to say that Chris Leftwich usually joins us.
Yeah.
Every Sunday he closes out the show with us, and I want to give a special what's up to Chris.
Shout out to what's up. We love you, man. We care for you. You need us, call us. Personal tragedy in the family that's very heavy and very full of pain and suffering. Aww. I love you, Chris. We'll see you next time. Take all the time you need.
So up first we have Dave, and then we have Katie.
All right.
Hello. Hey. It seems so. I talking about this was fascinating when we first started talking. It's like I don't have anything to say, but hearing from what you were sharing reminds me a lot of times when I was a kid. I would say like 8, 9 years old. I would always have these recurring dreams where I find myself just like semi-conscious, and I'm semi-conscious. I'm falling through my ceiling and hitting my bed.
Oh wow.
They were dropping like back off, probably.
Yeah, just like I'd have no memory of anything ever happening, but hearing what you're saying, it's common. Saying, just like, was I being abducted when I was a kid?
That sounds like it, exactly, because that's the kind of returns I would have too. Sometimes I'd be dropped into like the living room, and I'd end up on the living room floor, on the couch, or in a different room of the house. Our pajamas would be inside out. Did you ever have anything like that happen?
Inside out pajamas, not that I recall, but I just keep on having that recurring image in my mind, just falling scared to death, falling into my bed.
Oh, that sounds like
I've had that pajama inside out experience. It wasn't alien though. It was. Oh, sorry, wrong show.
Tyson.
Continue.
Yes.
Continue. Wrong show. Wrong show. Wrong show.
Will you stop it?
Wrong show.
But yeah, Dave, that does sound like it very much. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
So you were messed with. Look, millions of people, if not tens of
Mhm, you're
millions, if
not
not
alone.
more. The numbers are way up there, and this doesn't make CNN. This doesn't make, very often at least. This doesn't make the news, the corporate elite news very often. But if you read into all of these wonderful books that have been written on UAPs and UFOs and the alien agenda and what different people think about it, and especially the abduction phenomenon, there's millions of people that have had this experience. So it's very hard for me to discount it. I can't, like I've said a few times on the show, I can't endorse it and say it's 100% accurate. But I believe this woman. I can't look at
I
this
agree. I
and
agree.
hear her and
Thank
hear
you.
her, the suffering and the pain in her voice, and then just discount it. That would be pretty cruel.
Um,
One more question for you, and I'm sorry,
I-
Dave, you had
Can I
another
say
one.
something? Can I ask Dave or give Dave one more thing?
Yeah,
Dave,
please.
if you want to reach out to me, just go to my website and there's a section where you can send me a message and that goes into my email and then I can email you back. So if you have any other
Okay.
questions or you just want to talk about it or you remember something else and it bugs you, just reach out to me. And
The
I'll
website is KarinWilkinsonAuthor.com. That's KARIN Wilkinson, WILKINSON author.com, or StolenSeedEvilHarvest.com is her book website.
And I'll be buying the book. I
Also,
can't wait to read this.
LAMarzulli.net, who we haven't had a chance to let her, Karin tell us a little bit about. Why not tell us a little bit about LA Marzulli?
Oh yeah, he's amazing. He has been my mentor, my friend. He's the first person that I shared with, besides my husband, what had happened to me. And he was, like Dave, I know it was probably really hard for you to share that. And when I shared with LA, he's like, you're not alone. There's so many people that this has happened to. And
Yeah.
that is comforting to know. But now LA Marzulli is amazing. He's a filmmaker, an author, an explorer, an archaeologist. He's kind of does it all. And he is the reason I was able to share this. He's the reason he published the book, and the book is available exclusively at lamarzulli.net. Right now, that is the only place you're going to find it. It's exclusive through his website or through events that I go to. I will have.
What are some of those events? Because I want to start visiting these events.
I will be updating the events on my calendar now that I'm starting to get this year's events in. So I don't have them all confirmed. The first two this year are actually next weekend. I will be at the Fellowship Lubbock. That's in Lubbock, Texas, with LA Marzulli. I know that's just it's kind of in the middle of everywhere and nowhere at the same time. But if anyone's close to Lubbock, just go to lamarzulli.net and you can find a link to it there. I believe this is a free event. It's going to be great. Get to listen to LA Marzulli talk for a couple of days. He's fascinating. He knows so many things, so much. The next one I'll be is the Prophecy Watcher Summit in Orlando, Florida. That is February 28th through March 2nd, I believe. And then the rest of them I'll have up on my website here in the next week or two as soon as everything.
KarinWilkinsonAuthor.com?
Yes, KarinWilkinsonAuthor.com.
And that's Karin with an I.
Karin with an I. And you can find me on Facebook at just my name, Karin Wilkinson, and on Instagram at Karin Wilkinson Author. So
Diggity Dave, did you have any more questions, or are you done?
What's up with your light? Every now and then you're just like, you're like, why does it go?
Mine are
yours. Just Karen's.
Who's yours?
Oh, mine. Oh, I don't know what's going on with my light tonight. I know it's going crazy.
She's
getting
moving.
Moving. I'm not
like
moving.
J.J. Abrams flashes.
And flare. No, it's like full blown. Just like white as a ghost. Just like wham. And it's just.
That's because this woman has been through some shit. Have you not heard? The lights malfunction around her. Aliens.
Yeah, they do.
I'm not making fun of you, Karin, because I've had some
it happens. You're not wrong.
In fact, in my house right now, I'm having a lot of light. I think it's a paranormal ghost related, but all right. So we're gonna get close to our musical guest. We have a musical guest tonight. Super fun, man. Mike Wen from a band that I'm producing called Click Tight. But we do have a couple more questions. One from Katie. So you want to bring Katie on?
By the way, for all our listeners, all the way from England, she stayed up till 2, almost 3 in the morning to be with us tonight.
Thank you, Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Hello, good morning. Yeah, it's like 3:15 in the morning here. It's kind of like my late morning, early afternoon.
Oh. Well, thank you for staying up for this.
Oh, I'm always up for the show. But now what I wanted to ask is, I mean, first of all, I'm so sorry that experiences that you've had have been so horrible. But I was just wondering, have you had any that have actually been okay? Like nice or peaceful, where you've actually come back and thought, wow, I could do that again.
You know, there were a few times it was kind of like being in an abusive relationship where every now and then they'd pepper in something good so that it wasn't as horrifying and stressful. But honestly, with these particular entities, no. However, I have had an experience with very benevolent angelic beings where after that near-death experience, when they were trying to get me out of recovery, there goes my light again. See, we're having weird power hits here too. It could be that. I know. I'm about to phase out.
About to lose her. Yeah.
Yeah. But they had a very hard time getting me out of anesthesia. And it was like 4.5 hours in recovery, which is unrealistic. Every time they'd bring me up, I was in so much pain. I'd just be screaming in pain. And finally, about 4 hours in, I remember praying, God, why did you send me back into this body? You know, I just either take me back or help me, you know. And the next thing I know, there are these two young orderlies, these two young men standing at the foot of the bed, and they comforted me, and all of a sudden the pain wasn't there. It wasn't so bad, and I felt better. I felt fine. I felt comforted. They got me out of the recovery room, and they were just the most beautiful, wonderful young men. I kept talking to them, going, you look like you could be two of my boys, because I've got a lot of my own kids, and a lot of kids call me mom. So, you know, I'm like, you could be my boys. You're so sweet. And we get up to the room, and I grab my husband and my daughter-in-law's hand when they get up to the ICU hallway where they were taking me to my room. And I'm like, you have to meet the boys. I don't think I would have made it out of recovery if it wasn't for them. They calmed me down and they helped me so much. And they're like, oh, okay, great. Where are they? And I'm like, they're here at the foot of the bed. And I look up and they're not there. And I look at the other nurse and the orderly who are up beside me. And I'm like, what happened to the boys that were with us? And she's like, honey, what boys are you talking about? And I'm like, the two young men, the two orderlies that were up with us all the way up the elevator. They were here down the hall. She's like, honey, no, it's just been the two of us. I said, no, I was talking to them. She's like, oh, we wondered who you were talking to, you know, excuse me. But no one else saw them. It was just me. But, you know, and I think that was an angelic encounter. And, you know, the difference there was all they gave me was love and peace and help and kindness. They didn't take anything. They didn't ask anything of me. Yeah. They didn't do anything bad to me. They helped. And when that help was done, they were gone. You know, they were there. They did the task they were assigned, and then they were gone. And it was just a beautiful, lovely, wonderful experience. So I've seen both sides of the coin, and I can tell you it is night and day. It was night and day.
Well, with these 11 dimensions and that CERN has just proven, and with the size of the universe, I watched a James Webb Telescope thing recently where we can see 13.8 billion years into the past. Yeah. And we're starting to see exoplanets all the way back to when they think creation was, at least in this universe. But the 13 dimensions tend to prove, if you read into the article, a multiverse. Yes. So there could be literally hundreds of millions of us, our souls living out the same life, but in different forms, in different planets, in different areas of the universe. There could be multi-universes. We have no idea how big. I mean, we do have an idea of how big at least this universe's reality is, and it's astronomically. It's beyond most human beings' ability to even think of how big this universe is. So, when people say "or brr" and they start trolling the show and giving us all their bad responses about your guess is full of shit, you guys are all dumb and all that nonsense, trolling crap. Open your minds a little bit. We are in these bodies and they die, and there's probably a lot more to it than that. So
Definitely.
stop watching,
Definitely.
Walmart commercials and think a little deeper. Katie, did you have another question? Or are we?
No, but I am fascinated about the 11 dimensions thing, because I know that like about, what was it, about 15 years ago, it was hypothesized about 11 dimensions and then the infinite realities of the multiverse. And the fact that the 11 dimensions have been proven.
Yeah, they found
now
all
we
the
just
different
need
particles that they think they needed to have found to prove that this is how, at least as big as.
Now we just need it for the multiverse part of it, because the 11 dimensions and then the multiverse, that they are two totally different things.
Well, you think with the AI, I always think about our universe now compared to AI, because in AI, you can have 100 inside a quantum computer, you can teach 100 million different dogs how to not slip on an icy surface. And a quantum computer can literally crunch time space. So those dogs that are slipping on that surface are actually experiencing like 100 million years of not slipping on that surface over a 24-hour period in our reality. Then we unplug that information and we stick it into a robot dog, and that robot dog instantly knows not how to slip on that surface. So I wonder if human beings live in the same kind of way, that we have all these lifetimes and we're sucking up, our souls are sucking up all this information from all these different multiverses that our souls are living in, but maybe not this body and this piece of our soul is living in. And maybe that's how a soul grows and lives faster. I mean, it's just it's a hypothesis of mine, but it makes sense, because I think everything that we start figuring out in science starts to explain the universe and starts to explain also some of these things that are outside of science and just theories and experiences that human beings are having. Also, I read a bunch about the pineal gland the other night. I want to get this in a little bit. Fluoride. I read all these articles about fluoride from Harvard Medicine and all these different universities. Stop it. Stop putting fluoride on your teeth. Stop drinking fluoride and putting it in your water. It really disrupts your pineal gland, and it also can cause all sorts of diseases. The moment we started putting fluoride in our water as a government approved, FDA approved thing was 1945, right after we found that Hitler was putting in the water at the facilities for the Jews that they were killing in the camps. And then we did Operation Paperclip. We brought 1,600 scientists over, and now we started fluoriding our water all around the United States. And 3 to 4 Americans are drinking fluoride treated water. Bad stuff.
Fluorinated.
And it shuts down our third eye. It shuts down our ability to connect to the universe. They want to keep
destroys your bones. It destroys your mind.
It causes cancer. It can cause all sorts of nasty things if you're drinking too much of it. And you really shouldn't drink any of it. It's just a ridiculous, stupid thing that Hitler found made people docile. And for some reason, our CIA and our government decided to test it on all of us. So anyway, that's something I figured out over the last week. I want to thank Karin Wilkinson for being our special guest tonight.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
I'm going to say them at least one more time. Her websites are KarinWilkinsonAuthor.com, Karin with an I, Wilkinson with an I. And will you do the last two? Because I'm flipping through my notes.
It's KarinWilkinsonAuthor.com, yes. And the book is available exclusively at lamarzulli.net. That's LAMARZULLI.net. And you can reach out to me on the Facebook or Instagram or through my website. Links to each of those back and forth. So, yes, any of those places you can find me.
And the book is called Stolen Seed, Evil Harvest. I can't wait to read it and have you back on in a couple of months.
Get me your address and I'll get it out.
I absolutely will as soon as the show's over. So tonight we have a special. I'll let you go, Karen. Thank you so much.
I just want to say thank you both to you guys so much. I've had the best time. Love you both. Tyson, you are such a doll. I feel like we're kindred spirits. And Manu, I feel like I've known you forever too. So I can't wait to see you guys
believe
again.
We have. We're infinite. We eternal. We're eternal. Our spirits
together. Have a blessed night, you both, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.
All right, Karen. Thanks for being on the show. All right, so we have a special guest tonight. I think he's in the booth right now from Click Tight Crew. Mike One, the master, is about to give us his song "Goat." So check it out.
Hey, yeah, you already know what it is, Get it out, aka my one, nigga, EP, click tight, what's up? Hey, 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 yo. Yo, hey. Said I'm fresh like Missy, super duper fly. I'm riding the sky, remaining super duper high. I spy individual, never been a stupid guy. Been smooth, easy rider, that's real. I'ma get shit through myself, I never been the one to squeal. And I'ma never change, even if I make a meal. Out the whole squad, eating right. Free from the struggle for dollar bills. And if we can't do it, then I will. The game is up for steals, and I'm about to snatch it up. I thought it wouldn't not that y'all like you had enough. But they say he ain't quitting shit, I'm calling your bluff. But it's already been written, pippin', I'm drafting the rough. So pass me the blunt, a pound and a throne. I'm finna take the crown and I'ma do this on my own. I'm the sickest warrior, I'm earning stripes all alone. And when the top is calling, how y'all can bet I'm on the phone. Hey, if you fucking with me, hell yeah, you fucking with a low. Don't like what you see, then close your eyes and keep them closed. Yeah, my Mackin' is cracking like a 4-4, I'm about to blow. I'm the greatest of all time, hell you can call me GOAT. You fucking with me, hell yeah, you fucking with a low. Don't like what you see, then close your eyes and keep them closed. Yo, my Mackin' is cracking like a 4-4, I'm about to blow. I'm the greatest of all time, hell you can call me GOAT. Yeah, don't sleep on me, wake up and smell the Folgers. Cause take a whiff of the roses and lead your nose to us. And let you know what's the fuck it, I'm taking over, bro. Never been in the folding of disagreements, it's overlooked. And gonna wanna plug, I'm a watch steady, but already know. But when you hit, you not ready, and you'll never be. Me showing pity for petty, nigga, you never see. Or doing phony shit for the fetty, not in my pedigree. There ain't no better me, ain't nobody ahead of me. So follow suit or get left behind like the 70s. I need my loot, so I'm striving for the longevity. All about my bills and not talking Cosby, you better keep it cool. Try my best to suppress the violence. Be my guest to come test the waters that moving silent. Go eyes wide open and try to see that I am here for all of the smoke. You came in perfect timing. Yeah, you fucking with me. Hell yeah, you fucking with a low. Don't like what you see, then close your eyes and keep them closed. Yeah, my Mackin' is cracking like a 4-4, I'm about to blow. I'm the greatest of all time, you can call me GOAT. Fucking with me, hell yeah, you fucking with a low. Don't like what you see, then close your eyes and keep them closed. Yeah, my Mackin' is cracking like a 4-4, I'm about to blow. The greatest of all time, hell you can call me GOAT. Hey, yeah, you can call me GOAT. You can call me GOAT. You can call me GOAT. Hey. Hey. Hold up. Hey, we can go over the whole thing again right quick. Mike One.
Mana, you're muted. You want to unmute yourself.
I'm sorry, I was just digging the music so much, man.
I love it. Hey, let's bring him on camera. Let's talk to him. Hey,
yeah, there's Mike One.
Come here.
So I don't know if we have a microphone more. I hope we do. Yeah, he can share.
There you go.
What's going on, y'all?
Love it.
Mike One from Click Tight, first album for Click Tight. This is a group I'm producing. I love this cat.
Yes,
He's
sir.
got
Yes,
skills.
sir.
It drops late next month. First Click Tight EP, couple of singles will probably drop before that. Check it out on Apple Music, iTunes, all the places where you download music. Check out Mike One, E-Dub, Mickey, Mickey Sun, Bloodshots, all the guys in Click Tight, CLICTYT. Keep a lookout because it's coming soon. Also, follow those guys on their Instagram. on their Facebook.
Yeah.
I think it's
So,
all
so,
at
so,
Click
so
Tight.
there's gonna be, it's gonna be all be it'll be Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everything. It was gonna be all in the mix. So we're gonna have everything ready for y'all. It's gonna be a whole bunch of different types of entertainment. Y'all just be ready for it. It's going out real soon.
Gonna watch it. We're gonna watch it. And there's one other brand new act that just came out. I want you guys to be aware of. His name is John Denver. Look at Manu. It was worth it. It was worth it. Look at that.
Hey, man.
I'm kidding.
Hey, John Denver was the man.
I love everything you do.
I love me some John Denver.
Yeah, man. John Denver was the man. Mike One, thank you for dropping your single.
Yeah, no problem.
First time on our show.
Y'all be ready for
And,
some more music, for real.
Yeah, Click Tight's coming soon. We're going to take over. It's the takeover. I'm producing these guys. I found these amazing hip hop artists in the Colorado Springs area, but they're from all over the country, and you don't have any idea about what you're going to be hearing, and the videos you're going to start seeing in the next couple months. So keep an eye out for Click Tight. Write it down now. Follow the social media now at Click Tight. And we're going to wrap up the show. Thank you, Mike One. Also, our guest next week is Mark Fiorentino. He's going to talk to us about the unified theory of the universe, which is some pretty deep shit, and all sorts of other fun stuff and things on Dangerous Thoughts. If you haven't done it yet and you've been watching the show, or you just clicked in, hit that like, subscribe, because that helps us get paid by YouTube and not you. And we'll see you next week on Dangerous Thoughts with special guest Mark Fiorentino. Tyson, you got anything to say before we wrap this up and send them
Absolutely love the most recent guests we've had on the last couple of weeks.
Tell me,
just
Mike,
wonderful.
Just fucking go hard right there. Come on, you don't even like hip hop. Tell me you didn't like that song.
I like the song, and I will be performing Rocky Mountain High next week. So you got to tune in. Got my guitar.
Tyson will pull out his ukulele, and we'll get down. All right. All love to our special friend.
Thanks, guys.
Who's having a tough time right now. And we'll see you next week on Dangerous Thoughts. Love you, everybody.